Y'all, this just went from messy to straight up devastating overnight. It looks like Megan Thee Stallion is caught in the middle of a situation nobody saw coming, and insiders are saying the truth behind it is way darker than what's trending. Because while the internet is celebrating Klay Thompson stepping into fatherhood, there are whispers that this wasn't some clean, happy transition. This was a quiet replacement. And the name tied to it, Lexi Brown. Now here's where it gets uncomfortable. It looks like the same future Megan was openly dreaming about, family, kids, stability, suddenly showed up in someone else's life, almost overnight. Fans are connecting dots fast. Insiders say there were signs, secret communication, emotional distance, things not adding up behind the scenes. And then, boom, pregnancy rumors hit and everything flips. And Megan, she didn't scream. She didn't crash publicly, but that one post, that one line. I was playing house. That wasn't just emotion, that sounded like realization. Now people are asking the question nobody wants to say out loud. Was this relationship ever real, or was it something else entirely? Because if even half of these claims are true, then this isn't just heartbreak. This is a setup that unraveled in real time. And what's still hidden might be even worse.
I do want a family.
How many?
I want like 5 kids.
You are only child and you want 5 kids?
Yeah, because I know what it's like to be the only child and you want friends. My kids. I want.
Oh, you want that for them? You didn't want that.
To be cool with each other.
Right.
I don't want them to have to be worried about everybody else being their fake ass friend. This your blood brother, your blood sister. This your damn friend.
Right.
Us. Our little group. That's what I want from.
It looks like everything started falling apart long before anyone noticed, and insiders say the signs were there the whole time, just hidden in plain sight. Because while Megan Thee Stallion was publicly showing up as the supportive partner, smiling courtside, posting subtle moments, even hinting at building something long-term, there are now whispers that behind closed doors, things weren't nearly as stable as they looked. And then came the shift. Not loud, not dramatic, just different. Insiders say Klay Thompson started moving differently. Less visible affection, more distance, conversations that didn't quite add up. And at the same time, a new name quietly started circulating in certain circles, Lexi Brown. At first, it didn't seem like anything serious. Just another rumor in a space that thrives on speculation. But then the timing started to raise eyebrows. Because it looks like right when Megan was at her most emotionally open, talking about healing, about finally feeling safe in a relationship, that's when things allegedly began shifting behind the scenes.
Tough, but today I'm being vulnerable. I wanted to be my raw and real self and like let everybody see exactly what was real.
And that's where it hits harder. Because insiders say Megan wasn't just casually dating, she was investing. Emotionally, privately, fully. The kind of investment where future plans aren't just talk, they feel real. But then, something didn't line up. There are claims unconfirmed, but persistent, that communication patterns changed. That there were moments where Klay seemed unreachable. That certain details didn't match his usual routine. And then comes the detail that's got everyone talking. Allegedly, a second phone. Now again, this is all based on online chatter and insider claims, but people are asking, why would someone in a high-profile relationship need a separate line of communication? That question alone has fueled an entire wave of speculation. And it doesn't stop there. Because around the same time, fans notice something subtle, but telling. Follows. Unfollows. Quiet interactions. It looks like Klay and Lexi had started engaging on social media just enough to be noticed, but not enough to be obvious. The kind of digital footprint that doesn't scream, but definitely whispers.
Current rumor on the internet streets is that Klay cheated on Megan Thee Stallion with the WNBA player Lexi Brown. Let's get into it. Once the news dropped about Megan Thee Stallion this afternoon, Lexi immediately locked up her comments on IG.
Then another twist. Reports begin circulating that Lexi suddenly restricted her comments. No explanation, no breakdown, just silence. And in situations like this, silence doesn't calm things down. It amplifies them. Because now the internet is doing what it always does, connecting dots. Insiders say there were alleged messages. Claims that Klay described his relationship as something that looked better publicly than it felt privately. Again, unverified, but spreading fast. And then, the timeline gets messy. Because rumors about Klay's behavior didn't just start now. They've been floating for months, even years. There are old stories, past relationships that reportedly ended under similar circumstances. Patterns people are now revisiting with a different perspective. So when this latest situation surfaced, it didn't feel random to a lot of viewers. It felt like a continuation. But here's where everything escalates. Because while all of this is building quietly in the background, Megan posts something. Not a full statement. Not a breakdown. Just a few lines. But those lines? They hit. hard. Playing house. That phrase alone changed the tone of the entire conversation. Because now it's not just speculation about what Klay did. It's about what Megan experienced. And suddenly, the narrative shifts from gossip to perspective. Because if she felt like she was building something real, meeting family, creating routines, stepping into a role that looked like long-term commitment, then what does it mean if that foundation wasn't as solid as she believed? And that's the part people can't stop talking about. Because right as this emotional context is unfolding, another layer drops. Pregnancy rumors. Again, nothing officially confirmed, but strong enough to dominate timelines. And if true, it changes everything. Because now the question isn't just about cheating. It's about timing, overlap, intent, and possibly replacement.
Granted, she had a game today, but for her to immediately have locked up her comment right when this news started circulating, yeah, that's very, very...
And through all of this, Klay, he hasn't directly addressed anything. No clear denial. No explanation. Just regular posts. Normal activity. Almost like nothing's happening. Which, to some people, says more than a statement ever could. Because when a situation this loud gets met with silence, people start filling in the gaps themselves. And Megan? She goes quiet. No follow-up. No public escalation. Just distance. And that silence feels different. Because this isn't the kind of quiet that comes from confusion. It feels like the kind that comes after realization. Like something clicked, and there's no going back from it. And now, the conversation isn't slowing down. It's evolving. Because people aren't just asking what happened. They're asking how long it was happening. They're asking who knew. And more importantly, what hasn't come out yet. Because if this really is just the surface, then whatever's underneath might be even more complicated. And that's where things start to get uncomfortable. Because the deeper you look into this, the less it feels like a simple breakup. And the more it starts to look like something that was never fully what it seemed in the first place. It looks like the deeper this goes, the less it feels like a sudden scandal, and more like something that was quietly building for a long time. Because insiders say the timeline doesn't start with the pregnancy rumors, it starts months earlier, when subtle changes began stacking up in ways most people ignored. There were moments, small, almost forgettable, where Klay Thompson reportedly pulled back. Fewer appearances together. Less visible chemistry. And according to some observers, a noticeable shift.
People are talking about these old blind items that are allegedly about Megan and Klay. This one was from Friday, January 16th. It said the NBA player is cheating on the three-named singer rapper every chance he gets. I think it's Klay. This is from 186 days ago. He said he had a flip phone with Laura Harrier and he cheated anyways. His older brother follows all of Klay's girls and even invites them to vacations and parties for him. Remember when an IG model exposed his diary?
That clip didn't seem like much at the time, but now, people are replaying it differently. Because it looks like what once felt like privacy might have actually been distance. And then there's the pattern conversation. Insiders say this isn't the first time Klay has been linked to overlapping situations. Again, nothing officially confirmed, but past stories are resurfacing, and they're starting to align in ways that feel less coincidental. And that's where the narrative starts shifting from one incident to something more repetitive. Because when similar claims appear across different timelines, people stop calling it rumor and start calling it behavior. But here's where things take another turn. Because while all of this is being dissected publicly, there's a parallel storyline happening quietly in the background. It looks like Lexi Brown has been trying to stay completely out of it. No long statements, no emotional reactions, just controlled responses and then silence. Which, again, doesn't slow anything down. It accelerates it. Because now, every move becomes a signal. Every post becomes a clue. Every absence becomes a question. And then comes the part that's made this situation even more uncomfortable. Insiders say there were alleged private...
I have never dated somebody so kind. Like, this is my first relationship where I ever been with somebody who's genuinely a nice person, and he makes me genuinely happy. Like, I just never dated somebody like him before, and I'm just grateful that he here by my side and he feel the same way.
And right when this conversation starts reaching its peak, the pregnancy rumor circles back. Stronger, louder, harder to ignore. Because now it's not just a claim. It's a timeline anchor. Something that forces people to look at when everything happened and how it overlaps. And overlap is where things get complicated. Because if timelines intersect, then someone wasn't being told the full story. And that's where sympathy shifts. Because now the focus isn't just on what Klay did. It's on what Megan didn't know. And what she thought was happening. And that difference? That's where the emotional weight sits.
See, knowing his role.
Your gym body.
See, this is what I'm saying.
I'm cute, bro. I'm cute.
Hey, Klay, I'm telling you now, those Texas women.
Playing house. That line keeps coming back. Because the more context gets added, the more it sounds less like a metaphor, and more like a realization. Like something clicked after everything surfaced. And once you see it that way, you can't unsee it. Meanwhile, Klay's silence continues. No direct acknowledgement. No clarification. Just normal activity, training, posting, moving forward. Which to some looks like composure. But to others, it looks like avoidance. Because when a narrative builds this fast, and there's no interruption, it starts writing itself. And once the public fills in the blanks, it becomes harder to reverse. And then there's the question no one can answer yet. Where does this leave Megan? Because stepping back might look like peace on the surface. But insiders say this kind of situation doesn't just fade quietly. Not when emotions were this deep, not when expectations were this high, and definitely not when the public is this invested. Because now, it's bigger than the relationship. It's about perception. It's about truth. It's about whether what people saw was ever real to begin with. And that's what keeps this story moving. Because every time it feels like it's settling, something else surfaces. Another detail, another theory, another connection. And the more pieces that come together, the more uncomfortable the full picture starts to look. Because if this really was two different realities happening at the same time, then the ending we're seeing right now might not actually be the end. It might just be the part that finally became visible. It looks like what we're seeing now isn't fallout. Insiders say it might actually be exposure, the kind that only happens when everything finally lines up at once. Because once the timeline started tightening, people stopped asking if something happened and started asking how long it had been happening. And that question, that's where everything gets heavier. Because if you go back, piece by piece, there are moments that feel different now. Moments where Megan Thee Stallion looked fully invested, fully present, fully locked in. And then right next to those moments, there are clips of Klay Thompson that feel disconnected. Short responses, avoided questions, energy that doesn't quite match. At the time, it looked like personality differences. Now, it looks like something else entirely. Because insiders say when you place those clips against the current claims, they don't feel random anymore. They feel like early signs. And then comes the part that's making the situation even more intense. Because the internet isn't just reacting anymore. It's reconstructing. People are building full timelines. Side-by-side comparisons, tracking interactions, dates, appearances.
For you, and more importantly, how's your relationship made you better as a man on and off the floor, and how that's going to move forward for you as far as your career?
My relationship with
Megan Thee Stallion.
I'm not gonna.
And what they're noticing: overlap, not confirmed, but consistent enough to raise serious questions. Because when events start overlapping, even slightly, it shifts everything from coincidence to possibility. And possibility is all the internet needs. But here's where things take a sharper turn. Because insiders say this might not have just been emotional distance. It might have been emotional misdirection. One version of events being presented publicly, while another version was unfolding privately. And if that's even partially true, then it changes how every single moment is interpreted. Because now, those happy clips, they don't just look like memories. They look like evidence of a narrative that might not have been fully real. And that's where the idea of playing house hits its peak. Because that phrase doesn't just describe a feeling. It suggests a realization. Like something that once felt permanent, suddenly revealed itself as temporary. And once that shift happens, there's no going back to how it looked before. Meanwhile, Lexi Brown remains almost completely silent. No escalation. No engagement. No attempt to correct the narrative beyond a brief denial. Which, again, keeps everything in motion. Because silence in a moment this loud doesn't erase questions. It multiplies them. And now, the speculation isn't slowing down. It's evolving into something more structured. Because people aren't just reacting emotionally anymore. They're analyzing. Looking at behavior patterns, comparing timelines, revisiting past situations linked to Klay. And that's where a bigger narrative starts forming. Not about one relationship, but about a pattern of relationships. Again, nothing confirmed, but strong enough to keep the conversation alive. And then another shift. Because the pregnancy rumor, the one that started as background noise, is now at the center of everything. Because if that part turns out to be accurate, then all the timelines people are building, they lock into place. And once timelines lock, so do conclusions. And that's what makes this moment feel different. Because this isn't just speculation anymore. It's structured speculation. The kind that feels almost complete, even without official confirmation. And that's a dangerous space for any public figure to be in. Because once the audience believes they understand the story, it becomes harder to change it, even if new information comes out. And through all of this, Klay's approach hasn't changed. Still no direct response. Still no attempt to control the narrative. Just distance. And that distance? It's being interpreted in completely different ways. Some see it as discipline, others see it as detachment. But either way, it leaves a vacuum. And that vacuum is being filled fast by fans.by theories.by content like this. And then there's Megan. Still quiet, still removed. But insiders say that kind of silence doesn't always mean retreat. Sometimes it means recalibration. Because when everything collapses publicly, the next move matters more than the reaction. And right now, no one knows what that move is going to be. Will she speak? Will she expose more? Or will she walk away completely and let the narrative settle on its own? Because here's the reality. This story doesn't actually have a confirmed ending yet. What we're watching might just be the middle. The part where pieces are still being uncovered, where perspectives are still shifting, where truth is still unclear. And that's why it's holding attention the way it is. Because every detail feels like it could change everything. Every silence feels intentional. Every clue feels incomplete. And until something definitive comes out, this situation stays exactly where it is. Unresolved, unfolding, and far from over. It looks like this still isn't the full picture, and insiders say the part everyone's reacting to right now might only be the surface. Because just as the timeline starts to feel complete, new questions keep pushing through. What really happened behind the scenes? When did things actually shift? And more importantly, who knew what and when? Because if even a fraction of these claims are accurate, then what we're watching isn't just a breakup fallout. It's a narrative collapsing in real time. And that changes everything. Because now the focus isn't just on Megan Thee Stallion being hurt, it's on whether she was seeing the same relationship everyone else thought she was in. And if she wasn't, then what was real? Insiders say there are still details that haven't surfaced yet, conversations that haven't been clarified, timelines that don't fully align. And until those pieces come out, this situation stays open, unfinished, unanswered. Meanwhile, Klay Thompson remains quiet. No direct response. No correction. Just distance. And that silence? It's doing more talking than words ever could. Because in stories like this, the absence of explanation becomes part of the story itself. And that's why people aren't moving on. They're watching closer, waiting, because something about this doesn't feel over. It feels delayed, like there's one more layer that hasn't dropped yet. And when it does, it might completely change how this entire situation is understood. So the real question isn't what already leaked, it's what hasn't.